Hi Sam. Today we're going to talk about tack safety. I think it's very important because nobody would go around a Formula One racetrack without checking the car before. So I think it's the same thing with tack. Just first of all, talk us through the bit.
Well, the bit that you've got in the horse's mouth here, just be careful that it's not too strong. If it's too strong, you're going to get the horse either resisting, head carriage going very high, not able to use their back properly, and that's going to affect their ability to jump the fence, get their front legs out of the way and the scope for the back rail as well. Or you could have the head too low, and that's going to affect their vision.
Yes, indeed. You have to think that if the horse is really within the bit, it can hardly see his own feet, let alone the fence, let alone the spread fence. If a horse is jumping a spread fence, then you really have to have that sort of head carriage to assess the spread. So we're in real danger here.
Now, attached to the bit, we got the reins, and we've seen breakages on courses at 5-star level here. This is a really vital area to check.
Yeah. So what I'm checking for my pupils when I'm taking them cross country is actually the quality of the leather and the seams. And if I see that the seam is sort of going loose, they're not allowed to go. They have to change the reins before.
Moving down, we got stoppers here. They're here for this thing, the martingale. Talk us through this, Alain. What's important here?
Well, this is crucial too, because, you know, if there's not the stopper here, that can get caught here. And when the horse goes up like this, then he's stuck. And even more important is this rubber stopper here, which avoid that, because if that is hanging loose, imagine when a horse is jumping like this, and when he's landing, he can put his foot in between the martingale. And I won't tell you where that will lead us.
Yeah, exactly. Really, really dangerous. That's not too loose. Right, now we've got the breastplate. Most people are going to have a breastplate to keep the saddle in place, but what happens when it gets too tight?
Well, if you're doing any sort of sport with too tight equipment, you don't feel comfortable. And if this is really too tight, the horse can't use his shoulder properly. So you're losing scope on the flat and on the jump. And if you're jumping through a real spread fence, you need the horse to really stretch out. And that can just be in the way.
Right, dealt with the front end. This is where I'm going to be sitting in the saddle. What's keeping me in place? We got the girth. What are you looking for on the girth?
Well, there again, same thing. The girth has to be elastic so that horse can freely breathe and freely move. If it's just like you get a very tight belt, then there again, it's not comfortable.
Now, people want to feel secure in the saddle, but don't get too secure. Talk to us about these blockers.
Yeah, well, the thing is, with the saddle, basically what you want to do when you're riding across country is to move freely. That is to say, you have to be able to sit back in case of problem, or unfortunately, if you're falling or if the horse is about to fall, you need to clear away as quickly as possible from the horse. And if the seat is deep, and if you have big blocks, then that can take you 1 or 2 extra seconds to just pop away from the horse, and you may need those 2 extra seconds.
Right, final part. We're getting into the stirrup and the stirrup leathers. Firstly, the stirrup leathers. Again, another piece of tack that we've seen failing famously on cross-country
Oh,
courses.
yes. Well, Mark Todd went across country with just 1 stirrup. That was ages ago in badminton. What we have to check there again is quality of the leather, quality of the seams, and this has to be really top quality. And those good stirrup leather are nylon lined, so that even if the leather is going loose, you still have the nylon to hang on to. And then about the stirrups, well, the stirrups have to be heavy, because if you lose your stirrup during the cross country and the stirrup is light, it will start flapping all around. Whereas if this is heavy, it's hanging like this, and you can find it back easier. And the last thing I would say about the stirrup is this is very important, because this is a safety stirrup. If I fall off, then I'm not stuck in the stirrup.
That's brilliant. Now, just quickly, the numbnut that sits underneath the saddle. When it gets hot in particular, what are we going to use here?
Well, I think when it gets hot, what you do is you just take your jacket off. Well, the poor horse can't. So we have cutaway numbnuts, which are like this, which when it gets hot are more comfortable for the horse.
And the stud girth. We haven't talked about what's underneath here, Alain. You've got a little trick for everyone.
Yeah.
About a little area in underneath the girth.
Well, on the stud girth, actually, what we have is most of the stud girth had that buckle, which is very dangerous, because when the horse, I've seen it, unfortunately, happen on a show jumping. The horse was jumping, and it just caught the back of his shoe in there. And when he was landing, it just couldn't extend the front legs, and down he fell. So if you have this, either you just remove it, or in case of emergency, what I do is I put just a bit of duct tape on it, or you can have that done and just cover it, which is totally safe. That can be really dangerous. Well, now we can go safely on cross country. Shall we go?
Let's go.